أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي واشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Lord, provide us the goodness and beauties and blessings of this world and help us connect all the bounties to its true source of origin and protect us from laziness, falsehood, greed, jealousy, and all kinds of negative thoughts. Ameen. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Happy Sunday, inshallah. Everyone is doing wonderful. And today we will continue on our reflections with our friend Nursi on the seventh ray, the supreme sign. So we need to start off with the fourth truth. I guess the last few sessions we went over how we notice perfect order in creation. I remember the author sharing his experiences about how does any kind of bounties that we enjoy, like grape wines coming out of soil water, and then we see the result of sweet sugary produce. How do we explain the existence of it? How is everything cooperatively working together in harmony to produce such? And we also went over some nice verses on how creation and resurrection is as a single soul. Quran chapter 31, verse 28, and the hour shall be but a blinking of the eye, or even closer, Quran chapter 16, verse 77. So these are really understanding of how we can take experiences of this universe in terms of, from my side, I observe everything happening in order, in a sequence. But if I were really to ponder over the creation of things, the source of existence of anything, then I don't think so I can attribute the creation of anything to anything of this universe, even what I call space and time, because space and time is also a man-made thing. It's really the language that I use here in this universe to make sense of anything. So these were pretty much some of the, I guess, the verses we covered last time. And so today, let's explore the fourth truth. The fourth truth. So those of you who joined us in, we are on page 183 of the seventh ray. And we are starting at the bottom with the fourth truth. The existence and appearance of all beings proclaim the divine unity in a self-evident fashion through their numerous points of unity and convergence, such as being simultaneously together and yet separate and unique, resembling one another, being the miniature or magnified versions of each other, being some universals and species, and some particulars and individuals, resembling each other in the stamp of innate disposition, having affinity in the impress of artistry, and aiding and complementing each other with respect to their innate functions. They establish the unity of their maker and, with respect to dominicality, make it clear that the cosmos is a universal and a whole that may not be divided or fragmented. I'm gonna reread this again. The fourth truth: the existence and appearance of all beings proclaim the divine unity in a self-evidently fashion through their numerous points of unity and convergence, such as being simultaneously together and yet separate and unique. This is interesting. So if we really look into the existence, just like the author is using the wording appearance of anything, they're self-evidently proclaiming that they're coming into existence from the same source of origin. Even if we just look at plants, anything like a tree, plants, or any kind of flowers or anything, you see, oh yeah, it's the stem is coming in from the soil, the roots are underneath the soil, there's water, sunlight, and all that. Appearance-wise, it may seem like the same elements. Obviously, all of them are working in unity and harmony, and it seems that simultaneously everything is coming into existence all at once, together and yet separate and unique. So if you may be in another part of, let's take the globe, you may be on the East Coast perhaps, or you may be on the West Coast. Hey, the same soil, water is producing, trees produce, and everything. So it's amazing how everything is coming into existence simultaneously. The same order is being observed. The plants or the leaves may be dancing under the sunlight everywhere at the same time simultaneously. So it's something to really, I guess, ponder, not even ponder over, but it's really amazing and mesmerizing if we really think on all of this. So although things may seem unique, so you may look into maybe an apple tree versus an orange tree versus any other kind of tree, right? You can definitely see their uniqueness. They resemble each other, just like some species beings do resemble each other. You can even take the animal kingdom and see how there are various kinds of birds. There are really different varieties of it. They resemble each other, but yet they are separate and unique. So yeah, how do we explain the existence of any of this? So being the miniature or magnified versions of each other, being some universals and species and some particulars and individuals, resembling each other in the stamp of innate disposition. It's really amazing how many things are out there. Like perhaps if we may just be acquainted with like flies, roaches, or but there's so many insects out there that that just display different characteristics. But if we zoom in, it points to the same source of origin as a bird or even a human being. So that's interesting. Now, they resemble each other in the stamp of innate disposition, having affinity in the impress of artistry, and aiding and complementing each other with respect to their innate functions. They establish the unity of their maker. They establish the unity of their maker. Interesting point here. Maybe we can a little bit unpack some more later on. And respect to dominicality, make it clear that the cosmos is a universal and a whole that may not be divided or fragmented. This is also interesting. Like when we talk about anything of this universe, it's always in connection with the rest of creation. So I cannot talk about a tree independent from the soil, water, sunlight, and so on. And
it's always in the context of the universe.
Yeah, everything is always in the context of the universe. And with respect to dominicality, things make it clear that the cosmos is a universal and a whole that may not be divided or fragmented. So even like we cannot even divide our moments. So I know in one of the classes lately we mentioned that can yesterday's universe give existence to today's universe? So what we experienced yesterday, can that be the source of existence of what I'm experiencing today? No, it won't make sense because creation is happening as of now. And I can't, like for me, whatever I observe, the way the order here is what I experience, I need to, I guess, measure things, calculate things. So I see yesterday, today, last night, this morning, an hour ago, but I don't think so we can really divide or fragment any part of the universe on its own. Or even if you were to study just one atom, you cannot, it's impossible to study it independently from the rest of creation because everything is so interconnected. Just like even a seed, take the example of a seed. There's so much in a seed. There is, even though you were to study it, there is really endless processes going on, which scientists may refer it to as DNA structure and so on. But if you were really to observe further, unravel more of the mysteries of a seed, you definitely follow the order in creation. So soil is needed, and then you're like, whoa, what is that? A shoot comes into existence, water it with the light, sunlight and so on, and like, whoa, a tree, and so that keeps going on and on and on. So this was the first paragraph. Let's look into the next paragraph here.
One point is it's hard to visualize also, like everything happening simultaneously. Like let's say what's interesting is we hold on to like a moment if we describe it. The moment is gone by the moment we describe it. It's already, so everything is within the context of the same at once kind of creation is out there. But for us, because we are subject to the space and time, so we speak in terms of space and time. That's how I went by the author, how he's relating to divine unity. He says everything exists all at once simultaneously. And that was the mysterious point in the last part that the author was sharing, that from my perspective, yes, it's one way, but you just have to understand that from an absolute, coming from an absolute is just one act, which is still very difficult, to think of. But one can understand by looking at what we are subject to, the results that we are going through within the moments and space and time, that we can make a conclusion. Yeah, the one who is making us subject to all this, what kind of abilities and what kind of qualities he possesses.
Thank you. Yeah, this is an interesting point. So you're saying that just like this mysterious way of how everything is happening simultaneously is also a way that like we can't not fragment or divide the cosmos as well, just by virtue of that. Interesting. Thank you.
Because yeah, the moment that you say I hold on to this particle, the moment of space-time is gone also. So you can't really hold on to anything at any single moment.
Good point. Very good point. Thank you. And I see Ali Murmur has his hand up. Go ahead, Brother Ali.
Another aspect is emphasized on the last sentence of the paragraph you read. Last sentence, with respect to dominicality, make it clear that the cosmos is a universal and a whole that may not be divided or fragmented. That is also interesting. All what you have explained was interesting, yes, essential, but the conclusion of all this, that we cannot divide the universe. What is happening nowadays, people are dividing the universe. What does it mean? Taking a part of the created beings, especially in this world, and studying it as an independent and disconnected being from the rest of the universe. And they measure it, they try to see some qualities in it or on it, in its existence, and they say, we study, this is a scientific study. What is that? I have studied, for example, let's say the life of an ant. It is, how long does it live, etc., etc. You know, what kind of provision it has, then what season they multiply, what do you say? They have their leg, they lay their eggs, and the new ones come, and why they are coming out during summer but not in winter. How do they make their nest or hole, and under the earth, which kind of architecture they have? It's a wonderful architecture they found out. Okay, they are fine, but they are happening within the context of the whole universe. So they say ant acts in this way, and the seasons are communicated, or the heat and cold of the weather communicates through the ants' such and such senses, etc. But they don't see that all this event is happening within the context of the whole universe. So the cosmos is a universal and a whole that that may not be divided or fragmented. So they have to see the whole order of the universe and put the ant into this context. At least physically may not be able to do it in a lab, but at least theoretically they must expand their experience on your experiment on the life of the ant. They don't do that, and they say, look, ant is developing by itself. Ants, such and such DNA structure is progressing or improving in this sense, getting itself better, but it is taking within the whole universe. And the qualities of the universe, as it is described here, actually I numbered it 8 different connections are interlocated with each other, which you have studied, Fariha and Asim studied. So everything is happening together. They are together, but they are unique, and they all resemble each other, but they are completely different. Each of them has different nature. They have a miniature being, but at the same time, for example, they say the typical example, the structure of the life of a cell is not different from the in its magnified version of human life or the body of an animate being. They resemble each other, but they have their own innate dispositions. It means particular characteristics pertaining to that individual being. So aiding each other, but at the same time complementing each other, but they have also conflict of interest, but at the same time, the typical example, some animals, vernacular animals, or how are they called? These animals live on prey. It means they eat other animals. They look like fighting or conflicting with each other. They have a fight within each other, interest of conflict, but at the same time, they complement with each other's lives in various ways. So it is so amazing to see how the universe is interlocated with each other, although at the minute level, every being is unique in its creation, but taking place within the universal content of the whole universe. It is amazing. It is really mind-blowing. So we cannot really study the universe entirely by putting it into a lab, but we have to bear in mind that everything is taking place individually, but at the same time unique to its own characteristics, but at the same time these unique characteristics in each particular being has a universal connection, and this connection has lots of apparent contradiction, but at the same time harmony, complementing each other. It is impossible to attribute it to accidents, random happenings, developing by itself. But nothing is developing by itself. Everything is developing within the whole context of the universe, and the whole context of the universe is at the same time conflicting conditions, but complementing each other. This is very amazing to see that in the Quran, the creation is taking place in the form of zawjain. It means pairs. But these pairs are contradicting pairs, but in their contradiction, complementing each other. That is amazing. You cannot say that one thing is individually developing and improving itself. I mean, the very, very obvious example, female and male in the animal.
Oh, I don't hear Brother Ali.
Perfect by coming together. Which kind of individual improvement they are talking about? There is no individual improvement. Interlocated, interlocked, interrelated, intermingled interest and complementing, conflict of interest, and also complementing at the same time each other's perfection. this is just obvious absurdity to say that the individual beings are adapting themselves to life conditions or living conditions. It means adaptation or whatever they call it, all these made up stories, in fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ali. That was very interesting to think further on all of this. Even the ecological balance we see in creation, everything is needed. The example of the opposites that we observe. So that's how the system works, night and day, cold and hot, male, female, black and white, yin yang. I mean, even every other, even school of thought, they kind of introduce this concept of negative, positive. So it's all needed to create a perfect balance that we see. Otherwise, we cannot explain anything. Yeah, definitely. I don't think so. If there were no opposites, I won't be able to explain the existence of anything. And I think this is really happening all around us, within the universe, outside the universe, and then we can also bring in the case to ourselves, what we experience, and our likes and dislikes. Lack of something makes me appreciate the more of it, and so on and so forth. So thank you for further elaboration on this last statement from the author, that with respect to dominicality, make it clear that the cosmos is a universal and a whole that may not be divided or fragmented. Okay, if anyone wants to make any comment, feel free to raise your hand at any time. I think let's jump in onto the example. For example, in each spring, to create order and sustain the innumerable members of the 400,000 different species. That's a big number. In each spring, to create order and sustain the innumerable members of the 400,000 different species of plants and animals, together and intermingled in a single moment and in the same fashion. Yep, in a single moment, in the same fashion, without any error or mistake, with the utmost wisdom and perfection of artistry, to create all the different, let me see, where did I go? To create all the different species of bird, from flies, which are like birds in miniature, to eagles, which are the supreme specimens of species, then to equip them with the means of flight and subsistence, and to cause them to journey through the realm of the air. To imprint on the countenances of each of the birds in miraculous fashion a stamp of artistry. On the body of each of them a seal of wisdom, and in the quiddity of each of them, in sustaining fashion, a sign of God's unity, to cause wisely and mercifully particles of food to hasten to the aid of the cells of the body. Oh, this is a good one. To cause wisely and mercifully particles of food to hasten to the aid of the cells of the body. Plants to rush to the assistance of animals, and all mothers to go swiftly to the help of their powerless infants, to work on all things, particular and universal, from the Milky Way, the solar system, and the elements of the earth, down to the veils of the pupil of the eye, the petals of the rose, the husk of the corn, the seeds of the melon, like a series of intersecting circles with the same regularity, perfection of artistry, the same deed and plenitude of wisdom. To do all this establishes the following self-evident certainty. This is very interesting. It may seem perhaps redundant. I think growing up, we read all these kind of children's book on, the story of the melon seed. I remember my mom sharing this collection of books she had. I'm like, wow, they need to make more of these, because I think we need to really reflect further on things we interact with, all these bounties that we gulp every day, every moment, fruits, veggies every day. Like, I mean, how do we explain the existence of, I know even Nursi was mentioning about grape seeds and even seeds in different types of fruits, figs and everything. So yeah, how do we explain the existence of all that? Like, it's nicely designed, perfectly ordered, well measured. There's a lot of geometry going on in there as well. It's amazing if we really study it, look into it. Unfortunately, people just take geometry class like maybe once a year. I mean, once in their lifetime, and that's it, they're done. But no, it's all around us. Art is all around us. You can find it in any discipline, really. So I think it's just a matter of reviving the spirit of really looking into the intricacies of what creation offers to us, because things are speaking to us at every moment. So when we are able to connect all the well-adorned qualities, and then we start appreciating the owner of these qualities, and this is, it's mesmerizing, at least to me. And then there was another piece here talking about to cause wisely and mercifully particles of food to hasten to the aid of the cells of the body. I remember growing up, I used to watch this anime on, actually, they had characters inside the human body. So all the cells and everything, and all the organs that are given existence within our body, right? They all have a function. So those were like powerhouses, and then things would carry whatever goes on. There's a lot of processes that's going on. It's amazing. I mean, back then I would watch it as like, cartoon, because you would know the different kingdom, doing what, and sometimes a virus would come in and how things would fight around it. So, but like now, if I look at it from another angle, in terms of, dang, like what's happening within the human body is just, it's mind-boggling, really. It is. And so not only the human body, but like everything around us, even a small ant has like a tiny stomach, and they exactly know what to do. So there's a lot of it going on, but like how we don't question this. You don't question what's sustaining anything, what's sustaining the solar system, what's sustaining my lungs, what's sustaining the breeding of birds, what's really and alhamdulillah for these texts like we're reading right now, so we can ponder further and really reflect on what can be the cause of existence of all this wisdom, or all this beauty, or all this organization and harmony that I see around me. And even the whales of the pupil of the eye. It's really a lot going on. All I want to say is astaghfirullah for not really reflecting on this. We take every little detail for granted until, a little interruption happened, and then we're like, oh, hey, what happened? Who's bothering me with any of this? So yeah, inshallah, maybe all learn to read the messages in creation around us, within us at every moment, because if we were to count the messages we're getting, it's endless. We're receiving endless message at any given moment. Alhamdulillah. All right, so these were some of my excitement with this example, but let me check in to see if anyone else wanna share out any of their takeaways. Okay, so let's move on to the next paragraph. He who performs these deeds is one and unique. Okay, so now we're coming to the crux of the matter. Yeah, conclusion based on observation. You got it, awesome. He who performs these deeds is one and unique. His imprint is on all things. His imprint is on all things. In the same way that he's not in any place, he's present in every place. Whoa. Let me just pause here. In the same way that he's not in any place, he's present in every place. He's not in any place. He's present in every place. Yeah. He's like the sun, all things are distant from him, but he's close to all things. Yeah. Just as the greatest objects, such as the Milky Way and the solar system, are not difficult for him, so too the cells in man's blood and the thoughts that pass across his heart are not secret from him, nor beyond the reach of his power. Yeah, it reminds me of the verse, and we are nearer to him than his jugular veins. So who sees when I sees, I think a couple of months ago, we sort of shared these reflections. Who hears when I hear, right? It's interesting. Okay. However great and multitudinous a thing may be, it is, let me see, there's a little something on the chat. Profound. Yeah, exactly, Sarah, you're right. It's just mesmerizes us. SubhanAllah. However great and multitudinous a thing may be, it is as easy for him as the smallest and scarcest. Is it right? Scarcest thing. For he creates with ease a fly on the model of an eagle, a seed in the form of a tree in the shape of a garden with the artistry of a spring, and a spring on the scale of a resurrection. Things most valuable in their artistry he gives to us and bestows upon us cheaply. The price that he asks for us is merely to say, in the name of God, and praise be to God. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is interesting. In other words, the accepted price for all those numerous precious bounties is to say at the beginning of all things, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, and at their end, praise be to God. So yeah, so these are conclusions, and yeah, it's I think after gathering evidences all around us. So since this fourth truth is explained and proved elsewhere in the Risala Nur, we content ourselves here with this brief allusion. All right, I'll pause here and check in on everybody up here. If you want to make any comment or share out any excitements or even anything, go ahead. Sarah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. If we can just scroll down to that paragraph about the presence of the Creator being near and not far. Okay, yeah. In the same way that he is not in any place, he is present in every place. Okay, yeah. Like the sun, all things are distant from him, but he is close to all things. So just those two sentences, I felt almost like an extreme wave of peace and tranquility and reassurance upon hearing this. And I mean, it's these words are not to be taken for granted because he is present, even just those three words, and then in every place is a huge conclusion because that's experiential, right? That's not knowledge, but that's a confirmation. That's this Imam Nursi, may Allah be pleased with him and have infinite mercy on him and all our teachers, came to this conclusion, which points to the fact that there is an experience happening. There's a discovery and there's a direct, there's like an experience that confirms feelings. So you come to this like knowing something versus witnessing it, or knowing it versus experiencing it and being in the presence of it, offers an extreme treasure. So I like how the paragraph before, he's talking about the seal, the way that we can come to the conclusion that all things demonstrate the signature seal of a most wise, most merciful maker. In this paragraph now, though, it's saying like, yes, these things are evidence. So there's an imprint. Yes, we can confirm that there's an imprint intellectually. That's a very intellectual process. But now I felt like these two sentences were not intellectual. They're experiential. So I mean, their words are unfortunately just a limiting factor in expressing things, but just like the sun, all things are distant from him, yet he is close to all things. And so that wave of tranquility that comes speaks to what the human soul needs the most. The human soul, like our humanity, needs the most this constant reassurance. Because if we were reassured, we would exist in a state of peace and reassurance. But often in the world, we are troubled, or I am, let me speak for myself. I am troubled and I find uneasiness quickly coming back again and again for whatever, whatever opportunity presents itself. But now, so yesterday we talked about shifting our gaze to the attention of details, which has been with me for the day. And now from the detail to shift my attention to the presence of, it's so easy to take for granted that things are just existing. Like it's the same tree as yesterday. It's the same sky as yesterday. It's the same soil. It's the same human being. It seems. But I like, I don't know where exactly it was, but it was like the creation, and for things to be created and sustained is a brand new will operating that. And I mean, I can confirm the truth of that because I saw a very close being alive one moment, and then a very close being no longer breathing the very next moment. And we all took it for granted that this breathing would just happen because you were here yesterday. So why wouldn't you be here tomorrow? Especially so young. Okay. I guess to conclude my comment, I am excited to take these two sentences of the close presence, because in order for things to be here, they necessitate someone making them here right now, the way that they are. So yes, shift our attention to the details, like we said yesterday, and then yes, there must be a presence here right now operating this in this moment. And that presence is right here, because without that operating will, this wouldn't be here. And so that is an amazing conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your comment. I think, following up with your comment and Nursi mentioning about the sun example, I think puts things into perspective where the sun is up there. It may seem it's at a distance, but we feel it. Its warmth and like its presence. All the things feel it, all the plants and every created species being may feel it. So I think it follows along well with how it is present in every place and yet it is not in any place. So thank you for sharing that comment. And I see Ali Murmur, your hand is up. Go ahead, please.
For example, when we look at a child or a person, doesn't matter, but I have heard the Shakur's voice, so look at the child like other children. They are coming into existence almost in the same way, but you can ask Sarah, if one word is cried out, shouted in a crowd of children in the park, for example, there are many children and one word is said or cried out by Shakur, definitely Sarah says, this is Shakur. Nobody else's voice is like Shakur's voice. It is amazing. Although the children have, while they are coming into existence, they have common principles in their creation, but at the same time, every individual child has individual characteristics in their appearance, in their characters, in their voice, in their behavior, unique to everything, every quality that is manifested in each elements, let's call it, in each part of the child's qualities. That is impossible to imagine in terms of this world. Okay, let's assume that we established this. All right, there must be one and unique being, which is absolute being, who is giving existence to this universe. Okay, what shall I do? The last sentence on this page speaks in a very simple way. The price that he asks of us is merely to, we can continue because the idea is there. Okay, to say Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, in the name of God, praise the God. It means, he says in other words, the accepted price for all those numerous precious bounties is to say at the beginning of all things, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, and at their end, we need to say praise be to God. It means I mean, seeing is an expression of our response back to what we have concluded from the way that the universe comes into existence, or the universe and every individual being is brought into existence. We have to conclude in our understanding that this is nothing but the name of God manifested, which means qualities of the absolutely unique ones. One is manifested here. Accept it, confirm it in your understanding, and carry it in your feelings that everything is His grace to us, directly by Him. So everything I am expected to see in the way that everything comes into existence. It is His choice, His creation, His manifestation of His names. And after realizing this intellectually, emotionally, in our feelings, say, thanks be to God that I acknowledged it, I praised the God. It means I confirmed that these are nothing but God's actions. I am very happy with it. And also I am a human being which has a material body. I have to use my tongue, not only my understanding, intellectual understanding, not only my feelings, but also use my tongue and say it. You practice it. This way of responding back is called worshiping this God, this absolute being. Otherwise, coming to the conclusion that the universe must be created by a supreme being, whoever it is, I cannot imagine, okay, but this is not responding back. We have to respond back emotionally, intellectually, and also bodily. That is why all rituals prescribed in the Quran are involved in bodily actions as well as intellectual recognition of the reality and emotional engagement with the reality, but also bodily expression. It means intellectual recognition plus emotional engagement plus bodily practice. That is the combination of all these are needed. This combination is needed, and in all ritualistic response that the Quran or our God says, okay, your duty is now to do this. Whatever, pray, fast, go on pilgrimage, and give zakat, never tell lie, and be just. When you witness something, be honest to your witnessing. All of these requirements are engaged in these three elements at the same time. This is called worship. Worship is not only simply understood, I have to pray. I mean, it must be explained. That is the responding back to the reality that is manifested in the universe, expected of us to behave in this way and spend our life with this sense of worship. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali. That was a beautiful comment. And yeah, I think as beings, we are very dynamic, in our make. We definitely reason about things. We have emotions on certain things, and we react as well. Everything is reflected and projected physically as well. So yeah, it's an all-in-one package of the human being, intellectual plus emotional plus the physical side is what makes me a human being. And obviously I live in this physical universe, so whatever I do here, any kind of response and reactions gotta be in a physical way as well. And Sarah says, in this way, Bismillah and Alhamdulillah can be a very organic part of my day. Yeah, exactly. It's all about maintaining our consciousness about the existence of anything, and what does it mean for me to interact with all the created things around. And yeah, I think this is a beautiful conclusion of this fourth truth.
Unfortunately, we keep stealing all these bounties and forget to pay the price,
Yeah.
which is so simple to do.
Oh, that's it's a no-brainer. Usurping it, and then yeah, you're right.
You need to re-engage in that. Emotionally, physically, intellectually.
Exactly. Well, thank you for bringing this highlight, Asim. We definitely need to revisit our state of being and make sure that we are doing what we are made to do, because I think I said that before, there's no free lunch anymore. If you think about it, we're always paying a price for something, even though you may think, oh yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, it's my time. I'm spending 2 hours doing that. No, it's given to you. It's an opportunity provided to you. So definitely be an acknowledgement of the one who gives existence and all of that. So inshallah, let's not take anything for granted, and then make sure we are in acknowledgement of who the real provider of everything is, so we can not only appreciate the bounties, but be in a more loving relationship with the source of our existence. Okay, so I'm just going to check in to see if anybody has any last comments or thoughts or anything to add. Okay, if not, then inshallah, next Sunday, we will pick up from the fifth truth on page 185. Thank you all for coming in and joining us in on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, inshallah. We will meet again. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alim al-hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhir da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati sirra surati